Let's go!
In the vein of platform fighters is this little video that popped up today. So Sakurai straight on the front, right? It looks like with you know, a past Iwata-san approaching him to please make a new Smash Brothers. I want to click on this because this went up 17 hours ago, and I think it might have some pretty interesting details about the future of Smash Brothers that I've been trying to communicate for a while. Remember a little while ago, I was trying to tell Smash fans that you guys are in a golden era right now. You're in like a heyday. This is when Smash is in its possible greatest period ever. There are so many people that are, you know, that are going to be into Smash right now because this might be the end of it. This feels like a swan song. That Ultimate is a game that's untoppable, and Sakurai almost admittedly set that up for himself, where they crafted a game that has so much impossible stuff that happens that even to make the impossible stuff happen again in Smash Ultimate from Smash 4 was extremely challenging from what I understand. To me, it felt like when we were looking at all this stuff happening to Smash Ultimate, this is the end. Like this is Sakurai's like I did it, see you later sort of game. So that was the impression that we were really getting, and he even admitted that it'll be difficult to pull off this stuff, even though he's not a direct developer. He's like a director, but he's also the person that's business-wise responsible for making a lot of those impossible things happen. So who else could even do that? Much less, who else would even want the responsibility of doing that shit? Who would be like, hey, yeah, I'll make the next Smash Brothers without Sakurai and with a extremely small roster that doesn't include all the characters that people love from the previous game? You're almost setting up your career for disaster. So following up this is a very, very, very challenging situation. So anyway, that's my premise to the start of this video. I'm really curious what Sakurai has to say.
はい、雑談。企画コンセプトのカテゴリー内、大乱闘スマッシュブラザーズ X の回でお話ししたスマブラ X のチーム発足で起こったことをまとめておきたいと思います。雑談かな？まあチーム運営とかでもよかったかもね。
Talking about super unique stuff like team management and things.
私はスマブラデラックスまでスマブラを作っていた。
Left Hell Laboratory when I worked up through Super Smash Melee, opting to go freelance. Yeah. So Super Smash Brothers Melee was that period of time where I don't think even a lot of people realize this, even Smash Brothers fans, but the development team pretty much was gone. And Sora, what is it called? Sora Limited or whatever the heck the studio was. They separated at this point. After this, like from Brawl and beyond, the actual developers of Smash, HAL Laboratory, thank you, they turned into Sora. HAL Laboratory had turned into essentially 2 employees, and those 2 employees was Sakurai and his wife. And they were the last couple from, you know, HAL Laboratory that technically was making Smash Brothers. Who would be the responsible party for making Smash Brothers? Not them. It would be other like Nintendo divisions, if not you know, if not a congregation of people from Bandai Namco. HAL Laboratory still exists, right? But you understand that HAL still exists. I'm going to tell you this because a lot of people still don't know this. Who represents HAL Laboratory? And I'm gonna let you know, it is just Sakurai and his wife. His wife does the UI stuff, and Sakurai acts as like lead producer / director. That's all that's left. Everybody else that makes the game is Bandai Namco. Oh, sorry, Sora. Jeez, my bad. I always get Sora and HAL mixed up. Yeah, how's the Kirby team? My bad. They're very closely knit. The big difference is that HAL hasn't had anything to do with Smash Brothers for quite some time. It's been since like Smash Melee for the most part.
スマブラ作るんですねなんて言われましたが、どう答えていいのか。そもそも私が作らない可能性もありますしね。
Possible that he wouldn't be involved. And this is why E3 is valuable, right? Another reason why E3 is valuable, to get these people in the rooms to talk to other people. this is ultimately an issue of a trade shows like going away in some way, that we lose moments like this. Iwata called me over to the hotel, met him on the suite at the top floor. Started things with a request. We want you to make a Smash Brothers as close to director as possible. The reason they announced the game at the press conference was that Nintendo's upcoming Wi-Fi connection online service, the most wanted title for it was Smash Brothers in the US, in Japan. He said in order to show the Wii's network capabilities could be utilized. Oof. They decided to announce it first before any actual development had started. Oh, good. Oh, good. And I knew I couldn't decide before seeing next generation of hardware. Oh god, so I kept them waiting on an answer. If I said yes to the project, I'd be cutting into other agreements, which wasn't the most sensible idea. What do you do if I turn down? What if I say no? We'd have to find someone else to make it. But just with added network support. 26 fighters and Smash Melee would remain completely untouched. Yeah, there you go. It's how I imagine it would go. They just poured over all the old characters, you know? That didn't sound like a new title to me. But I imagine he struggled to picture what else could step up and crank out a brand new Smash Brothers. Needless to say, Iwata was very keen-eyed for people. He came to the conclusion knowing the difficulty of unique challenges of developing Smash Brothers. Different skill set. For me, it was quite a tall order. As for why I agreed to do it, Anuma, really? I knew exactly what he said from my column at the time. What the hell? The Famitsu 2005. If Sakurai isn't involved, it would likely spell the end of the Smash Brothers series. He packs in elements from so many different games, he never failed to make it coherent and fun. As a product of his ability, taste, and thought process, and nobody could ever replace that. Oh, jeez. A Smash Brothers game lacking that spirit wouldn't be worth making at all, I'd say. Whoa. There I would be the task of only I could do it, and people were looking to me to do it. This includes the creators of titles featured in Smash Brothers. I rolled up my sleeves and decided to do it. Now, if I was going to make a Smash Brothers, I would clearly have to devote all my time to it. So excluding this game, which is already in progress, I turned down the rest of my projects. This day, I feel very sorry about that. Crucial issue of how we would staff the project. Decided Nintendo would assemble a team in Tokyo with me at its center. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Smash Brothers Brawl was the last one that was actually made by Nintendo internal teams. Not like the Sora or HAL stuff or whatever the heck was involved with previous Smash Brothers before that. This was when it was like, okay, we need to make you a squad. Iwata made that call himself. Development of past titles have been handled by HAL Laboratory, but no longer. The core team was made up of developers from Game Arts, who had just finished a massive game at the time. Miyamoto made the introduction. Apparently the folks at Game Arts had played a lot of Smash Brothers Melee. You know the ridges on the analog stick? They were worn down like an old eraser. I've never seen anything like it. Executives and the developers were all excited for the project. Not long after we opened the new office in Tokyo, development would start at the beginning of October. Between E3 and then, I got myself ready by writing the design docs and pitching each character to its original creator. Yeah, so here's the crazy part. You can't just... Here's a crazy thing that I don't think people realize. Just because you are making a fighting game or a game that features a bunch of licensing, if not characters from internal teams, right? I want to use Yoshi. I want to use Mario. I want to use Link. I want to use Fire Emblem character, like all that kind of stuff, right? even though those characters belong to you, you're making a game for Nintendo, that you think that would be a complete given, right? That's just given. I can just use all those characters, right? No. I can tell you no. And I can tell you that even in other games, I have heard issues even at Capcom where and even Bandai Namco where they want to use other characters from franchises they have for something in the past and they can't do it. They said no. So this isn't just like, oh, we just get access to everything, right, bro? No. Yeah, Capcom, I think, has actually gone public in saying that even making costumes for Street Fighter V, they have to get approval of those costumes from the original developers and what they do. So you have to go for the people that made, if you want Devil May Cry costumes, you got to go to the Devil May Cry team and be like, hey, we want to do this for Street Fighter. Is this okay? You still got to like get licensing approval, even though it's internal like licensing approval. So still, Sakurai has to go to all of the folks inside Nintendo, the responsible parties for Yoshi and Mario and all this thing, for all of that shit, every single thing in the game, and pretty much write up design documents for every single character, how they're going to play and how they're implemented. And now you have to get their approval, and they can still say no. This is actually how the industry works. Meanwhile, team members brought in more team members. As soon as we had a team of over 100 people creating Brawl. Moving on to the present. How does Fortnite do it? There is probably an entire building dedicated to legal, right? How does Fortnite do it? They probably have hundreds of people with a lot of budget directly tied with an infinite amount of connections, so that developers don't even have to worry about this stuff. They just make this shit happen, and then bam, they're good to go. Just put them in the game, you know? Tons of money, and it's not just like we have billions of dollars. It's also that we pay a shit ton of employees just to handle this stuff, you know? And instead of assembling a new team around a freelance director, it's an extremely rare occurrence. Question now is what happens next time? I mean, whatever comes after Smash Ultimate, one option would be to separate the series itself from the original creator. Yeah, Sakurai's weirdly, like, now discussing the idea of how the hell do you even have a Smash Brothers after him? Like, how do you do it? It's so... He is so responsible. Like, he didn't directly put the pieces of the game together. That's not him. He helps he helps form the fabrication of the game, like what a director does. But what he does is make it a possibility. The reason the shit exists, how much time he puts into all the design documents, the pitching, and also something that is very important that he probably doesn't mention here. This guy has a lot of tenure in the industry. He's very respected. Extremely expected, especially in the Japanese side of the industry, was directly like tied to like close to like Iwata in terms of respect, right? Which is up there. So when he goes to somebody and he's like, I want to approach your characters with as much love and admiration as you put with them in their own games. People trust him. They trust him that, oh, you're Smash Brothers. Yeah, go ahead. Sure, let's just sign this stuff up. They trust him. So that's just because he's been doing this shit for like 30 plus years, right? Wait, even possibly longer. So anyway, approaching that sort of like mortal realization that what is Smash Brothers without Sakurai, it's kind of crazy that he's even talking about it here. For now, at least, I can't really imagine this. There you go. I can't really imagine them doing one without me. You might think that's a natural stance for someone in my role, but I say so speaking objectively. I feel the same way President Iwata did when we formed the team for Smash Bros. Brawl. At present, we don't have someone who can simply take the reins. Wow. Dang, dude. Wow, just straight saying the quiet part loud. Oh, man. All right. It's pretty much done without me. Smash Brothers is a massive important title for Nintendo. So it's fair to assume there will be another one at some point. Opinion at the time of the video's release in 2023. But it's going to take some work to figure out exactly how to make that happen. For my part, I'd like to keep working with Nintendo however I'm able. So yeah, he leaves it in the air that like he'd be like a creative consultant or something like that, right? But you know, he would not be like a standing director. He'd be a consultant for sure. I mean, but the problem still remains is that who wants to step into this guy's shoes? You have to realize that not everything in the industry is a business-driven decision where people have to, these are creative roles. People have to like step up and be like, I can do that shit. Let's fucking go. I'll put my career on the line that I can do that shit. Not a lot of people are going to be put into that situation. Not a lot of people have like, you know, the equity to just throw themselves into that kind of a responsibility. So anyway, he's low-key saying no one else can handle the job. He is. No, he is. And he's been saying that for a long time. And that's why we're like revisiting in this video, because we talked about this before, that Smash Brothers doesn't exist without Sakurai. It really doesn't. It isn't just because of like, oh, you know, he's the director of the game. He figures out how he plays. Like, there's a business side to it that only he could do. And it almost is like he might be that role later on, right? If there is a Smash Brothers in the future, he might have to be like, oh, so we're making another Smash Brothers game. We'd like to use these characters, and then, you know, Sakurai is involved, so don't worry. And it's like, well, it'll be fine. But then who's the director? What's it going to look like? That Nintendo is going to be responsible for coming up with parties that'll have to provide that information to these license holders, if not all of these things. He's going to be like a liaison that is sort of like going to ease the blow of like, can we trust these guys? Oh, Sakurai's involved in some way, then maybe. I feel like that is the only hope for Smash Brothers in the future, right? If you want Smash specifically to continue in any way at all, some way, way down the line, then you need this guy involved in some way. And the problem is that there's going to be an extreme like teaching process, because again, their development pipeline and cycle will be fucked because he isn't involved as much. And it'll take way longer, like significantly longer. So anyway, a new Smash Brothers from the result of this video and what he says is still 100% a pipe dream. Like it's right now, it's up there with like half the chances of getting a Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Instead of like a 14 million chance, you're up to like a 5 million chance now. So that's not bad, right? That is not bad. But hearing it from him directly, that like, yeah, nothing's happening right now, and I don't anticipate them really doing anything without me, is like, whoo, dang, dude. It's done. And that's another testament that Smash Brothers Ultimate was the swan song, golden goose of this man. That game was the golden era of Smash, and in terms of reveals and announcements and how frequent content was added and how much content they added and what they put into a game, that game was an impossibility. The fact that it even exists is incredible. So, again, celebrate it for what it is. It was insane. The fact that we lived during it. It's a magnum opus. It 100% is. It's a friggin' magnum opus of this person. And the fact that we even got that to be a reality is just bonkers. It's unfortunate it never didn't get the online or any of that kind of stuff. Why didn't Sakurai have a protege? He's too fucking busy. He was too busy to have a protege. And Nintendo probably didn't think that far ahead. There are so many elements at play when it comes to a game like Smash Brothers that I don't anticipate there being anything anytime soon. I think you're going to need a very large period of time, a very large swathing period of time for them to figure something out.